This lecture is about meaning and its type. So, semantics, as you already know, is the study of meaning. Meaning without language is just like lungs without air. Meaning is the heart of language. It is essential for language. It is essential and important for language. Semantics is a subfield of linguistics that is devoted to the study of meaning. The journey of meaning starts with the question that rises in our mind about the relationship between the words and objects which words represent. For example, we have the word cow, and we have, with this word, we have a concept of a four-legged animal. It refers to an animal who has certain qualities, certain properties, the properties which make it different from other animals. And the cow, the word, does not show any connection with the animal. So we take help from conventions and repeated connections with the image. And this convention and repeated connection continues until we match the animal with the word. It takes some time here. Thus, in this way, corresponding words start taking place in language instead of whole description of attributes, or we perceive the sound of that animal and invent corresponding words. For example, another case is the buzzword, which starts corresponding with the sound produced by the bee, and repeated use of this word become a part of convention, and we start using it. Different approaches towards semantics. The use of semantics is very much frequent, and with the passage of time, the approach to words has changed. At the beginning, at the beginning, it will be recalled, it will be remembered that language is organized along the structure of sounds, that is phonetics. We have already read about it, the structure of words and the structure of sentences and meaning. The naturalists, with Plato as the chief proponent, the meaning of a word is the entity or thing it represents. There is an intrinsic essential relationship between sound and meaning. Naturalists thought that there is essential relationship between sounds and meaning. The major criticism of this view is that there exist many words in natural language without physical entities, for example, love and hate. Then we have another approach towards the study of semantics, and that is the approach adopted by conventionalists. Words, they think that words and their meaning do not necessarily have any direct link. Whatever connection exists between a word and its meaning is through a concept formed in the mind of the users of language. Conventionalism is derived from the work of Aristotle. Then we have the third approach, and that approach is adopted by contextualists. They think that the meaning of a word derives from its usage, social its social use in language. Each of these three approaches have a profound impact on the practice of linguistics. Apart from focusing on three principal approaches to the study of meaning, these are the three principal approaches. There are other approaches, other types of meaning. One is thematic, another is conceptual, and the third one is associative types of meaning. You will know all about these in this lecture. First of all, you must know what a concept what a concept is and what role it plays in the study of meaning. So, when I use a word, said Humpty Dumpty, in a rather scornful tone, it means just what I choose it to mean, neither more nor less. This is the case with all of us. Whenever we whenever we utter any word, we have a certain meaning and sense about it in our word. But the question is, said Alice, whether you can make words mean so many different things. But when you utter those words, they mean so many different things. When we say a word, we have a concept about it in our mind, about the sense that it makes in our mind, but the outcome becomes different when is received by others. We will start with an ordinary word, pen. For example, the example of pen is here. For example, what does the pen mean? What does the word pen mean? Pen is a concept in our mind, and there are a variety of facts about it. The fact that it is spelled as pen, and when we look at it from grammatical point of view, then it is a noun. The name of your concept for pen is just pen. That is a noun. One other fact about pen is that it is an apparatus for writing. Then we have another concept of it in our mind, and there can also be a third concept in our mind about pen, that it is associated with knowledge. So we have three concepts, and we can have more concepts about pen in our mind. We shall call it as that we use the words as a name for its meaning. We are actually using it in normal life. So any entity in the world, anything in the world, any concept in the world, when we use it, we have a chain of related concepts in our mind. They can be related with the real, the concepts will be related with the real world, the associative, or the thematic, or many other. So we can here have another slide. In this slide, when you go through this slide, so these are here you can see that we have different concepts of words. For example, words in a language can correspond to the actual objects. For example, pen is the aspect that we can relate it with the actual object that we can see, we can touch. Other words, they do not refer to objects. They can be abstract. For example, love and hate. We have another case where the meaning of a word is not object, it refers to, but the concept of the object that exists in the mind. Then we can have some other concept about that thing in the mind. De Saussure pointed out the relation between the word signifier and the concept signifier. The word and the concept, these are two different points developed by De Saussure, which is an arbitrary one. Sometimes the concept in our mind are arbitrary one. Sometimes we try to explain the meaning of a table. When we use the word table, we need to use other words. We can have exact the same concept in our mind, or we can have some other images or concepts about it. For example, 4 legs, wood, and many other. And these words in turn can be explained only by the means of other words. So these different aspects, types and aspects related with words have been given different name, have been given different aspects. For example, we have aspects of meaning, thematic aspects, associative aspects, and connotative aspect, collocative aspects, affective, reflective, and stylistic aspects of meaning. These different aspects have been given certain names. Then we have the next slide, and here we have the first two and a detailed description of the first two types of meaning. Conceptual meaning, the first one is conceptual meaning or denotative meaning. What is conceptual meaning? It is the literal meaning of a word, indicating the idea, the exact meaning of a word, or the concept to which it refers. What is concept? You must know first of all what a concept is. Concept is the minimal unit of meaning which could be recalled as simian. The word man as a concept consisting of a structure of meaning as human plus male plus adult. So the concepts are also structured, expressed through morphological unit as man. Morphological units means the through the use of certain morphemes. Then meaning is meaning, this kind of meaning. For example, conceptual meaning is the same as primary, central, logical, or denotative meaning. All are the same. It is the first ordinary meaning listed in dictionaries which is not affected by context. These are the exact words that are listed in dictionaries. For example, then we have, it is the main focus in linguistic communication. Then we have, it is the main, conceptual meanings are the essential or core meanings, while others are peripheral. Peripheral means they keep on changing. We have then another way, that is peripheral, central, and the peripheral. It is the main focus in linguistics. There is an assumed shared conceptual meaning of every word of a language. Then we have another aspect of meaning, another type of meaning, that is called associative or connotative meaning. This one. The meaning of a word is affected by the context, background, time, and cultural realities of the users of language. This type of meaning is not static. It's all the time changing. It is variable and open-ended. Certain words, structures, and styles are usually employed to arouse some emotional reactions in the hearer. Certain attitude and forms of behavior are a part of associative meaning of words used in communication. Associative meaning reflects individual differences. There are individualized intentions and interpretations or explanations. There is therefore the need for all participants in communication to share common points, symbols, and background for there to have any meaningful interaction. It is an additional meaning of a concept. It consists of attributes associated with a concept. For example, the word woman is the concept human plus female plus adult. Then we can have also associative concept sense with the word meaning, and that is that weakness or frailty or any other concept that is related with this word. Then we have the next type of meaning, that is called connotative meaning. Connotative meaning is the communicative values of an expression over and above its purely conceptual content. It is something that goes beyond mere referent of a word and its attributes in the real world. It is something more than the dictionary meaning. Thus, purely conceptual content of a woman is human plus female plus adult, but the physical characteristics of women, such as having warm, psychological and social attributes of women, such as the gregarious, having mental instincts, are typical attributes of womanhood, such as capable of speaking continuously, experts in cooking, wearing skirts or sari, are the connotations or connotative meaning. These are a kind of associative meaning. Then we have another collocative meaning. Collocative meaning is the meaning which a word acquires in the company of certain other words. Words collocate or co-occur with certain other words. For example, big and business are mostly used together. Big business is acceptable, but not large business or great business. Collocative meaning refers to association of words because of its usual and habitual co-occurrence with certain types of words: pretty, handsome, and good looking. We can use good looking with, however, we can use pretty with girls, women, and flowers and gardens, but we cannot use pretty boys. We can use handsome because we have its collocation with the boy. We frequently use handsome with boy, so these two collocate with one another. Then we have the next type, and that next type is affective. We use language to express our personal feelings, including our attitude to the listener or our attitude to the something we are talking about. Meaning of this type is called affective or emotive meaning. For example, for home for a soldier is a type of word. When a soldier hears some, home, then it has certain emotions, it can arouse certain emotions in him. Mother, the word mother for a motherless child can have also the same kind of feelings. In affective meaning, language is used to express personal feelings or attitude, personal to the listeners or to the subject matter of this discourse, of his discourse. Affective meaning is often conveyed or expressed through conceptual connotative content of words. For example, if someone says, I hate you, idiot, we are left with the little doubt about the speaker's feelings towards the listeners. Here, the speaker seems to have a very negative attitude towards his listener. This is called affective meaning. Another type of meaning is reflective meaning. Reflective meaning is, that a word can have more than one conceptual meaning or multiple conceptual meaning. Many concepts can be related with certain words. If you interpret one meaning for the other, it is known by the term reflected meaning or reflective meaning. In such cases, for example, corresponding to one sense of the word, you partly respond to another sense of the word. If you are using one, if you hear or listen or use one word in certain context, you can have another concept of that word in your mind. For example, the comforter and the Holy Ghost, when is heard in the church, is one can have one concept, but they both can be unconsciously related to some words, some feelings of warm or comforting. The Holy Ghost sounds awesome or even dreadful. When it is heard in the church, its meaning is different. When it is heard outside the church, it has a different implication. Reflected meaning relates to the expression with multiple meaning. Words with several meaning have reflected meaning. There is, however, a dominant and prominent meaning among these several meanings. Then we have social meaning. Then we have another, not social meaning, but thematic meaning. Thematic or social meaning. What is social meaning? The meaning conveyed by a piece of language about the social context of its use is called the social meaning. The decoding of a text is dependent on our knowledge of stylistic and other variations of language. We recognize some words or pronunciation as being dialectical, as telling us something about the region or social background of the speaker. Social meaning is related to the social situation in which an utterance is used. It is concerned with social circumstances of the use of a linguistic expression. Then we have the last type of meaning, and that is the thematic meaning. You already know what a theme is. Thematic meaning refers to what is communicated by the way in which a speaker or a writer organizes the message in terms of ordering, focus or emphasis. Focus or emphasis. Thematic meaning helps us to understand the message and its implications or its conclusions properly. The different parts of a sentence can be used as subject, object, or complement to show prominence. Or the structure can be there, or we can also shift focus, we can also shift the topic, and we can also shift it in terms of its emphasis, emotional emphasis. Thus, for example, a sentence, when we talk about structure, a sentence in active voice is different from a sentence in passive voice, though its conceptual meaning can be the same. But because of the structure of words, the emphasis is laid on, the emphasis is different. Then we have, thus to conclude what we have learned, that meaning is the core of language, meaning is the soul of language, and ideas in our heads, meaning is not something that we have some entity in, before us, but these are related with some ideas in our head. These can be sets of objects in the world. Can all meaning be precisely defined? Can you define all these meaning types? What explains relations between meaning like synonym, antonyms, etc., and so on? How do meaning of words combine to create the meaning of a sentence? What is the difference between literal and non-literal meaning? What is the exact meaning? What is the logical meaning? And what is the associative meaning? How do meaning relate to the minds of language users and to the things they represent? Then, for example, we can also say that how do the meanings of words interact with syntactic rules and principles? Do all language express the same meaning? How do meaning change? These are the different aspects of meaning. So you have learned about the different aspects, the different approaches, the different types, and the concept of meaning, the concepts related with different words, and how the concepts have changed, and how the concepts have different aspects. Thank you.